So if the stream is also live on the YouTube, you can copy the streaming link. Let me just give you the streaming link. Okay, you're sorted now. So let me just confirm that it is also there on the channel. Good. I think it's now working. Sorry about that. So yes, as I was saying, this is an information session. I'll start off with Cloud Foundations. So the AWS has a number of offerings, and it's very important that we look at what it is. So I'll just be launching a few polls here and there. So you might see me log in and maybe let me just see whether the polls are going to be working from here. Good. So I think I'll launch the first one. So maybe you can answer the questions on it. The polls are active. Kindly confirm that you can see that. So you can answer. The first question is, have you ever taken any AWS cloud training before? So this will actually be able to give me an idea of who I'm dealing with. And then also the other question is maybe which of the following platforms you're aware of, whether are you aware of Skill Builder. There's also AWS Educate. You also have AWS Academy, and also maybe third-party cloud training. Third-party can be others. We usually have like Tutorials Dojo. We have Wiz Labs. We have Udemy. We have Cloud Academy. All these third-party providers who provide AWS training fall in that category. So I wouldn't have wanted to have chosen just one and left the others. So I can see I have a good number. So let us all participate in the poll. I have like 6 people who are yet to participate. Then you can go on. I'll be able to launch the answers. I can see a good number of us haven't taken any kind of cloud training, which is good to know. So you're in the right place. Don't worry about that. Then I can see we are like 4 people left who haven't participated since I launched the poll. Let's do it so that you can, I'll be closing the poll in like 30 seconds, then you can go on so that you can be able to see the answers. Okay, I think I can launch the answers. So I can see 3 of us have saying they've taken, 23% are saying they've taken some training, 77% are saying so let me just post this. Let me see if I end the poll, you can share the results. So you can see that that's what we have with us. So a good number of us haven't taken the training, and some of us at least know about AWS Skill Builder. No one knows about AWS Educate. Like 3 of us know about AWS Academy. I don't know that you're part of who have ever taken through. And a good number of us are not aware of any of these platforms, which you can be able to undertake some cloud training, and also, to be specific, AWS training. So, which is good to know. I'll just launch the last poll that I have for tonight. Then I can take you through what we're going to be having for the next like 20 or 30 minutes. Then I can take questions for the next 20. Then we'll be good to go. So before I post, because the question will be about skill level as well as the course offering that you're interested in, it will be very important to actually take you through what AWS Academy is all about. So, so AWS Academy is like it's like a specialized kind of a training that usually provided to students who are in campus or maybe post campus, and they are part of undertaking some course, for example, like IT or computer science or uh, telecommunications engineering or whichever, or software engineering. So what happens here is that there are a number of course offerings that AWS has to offer. There's the Cloud Foundation course, which is aligned to the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner certification. We also have the Cloud Architecting, the AWS Academic Cloud Architecting course, which is aligned to the AWS Solutions Architect Associate certification. And then we also have cloud developing. We have AWS Academic Cloud Developing, which is aligned to the AWS Developer Associate certification. And then the other one that we have is the Machine Learning Foundations, as well as the Machine Learning like advanced course of that, which can help you go, which is really aligned to the machine learning specialty certification. We also have the Cloud Security Foundations, which is also aligned to the Cloud Security Specialty course. So I think it would be prudent. I don't know whether I can share my second screen. Let me see. Good. Let me see whether whatever I'll be able to share will be good enough. Okay, let me see. If I'll be able to have something on it. So I'll just show you something here. First of all, just go on your tab, bring it to that side. So let me just write AWS certifications. Just on Google, I'm just doing that. Then I'm going to images, just going to look for the one that, yeah, this one I think is usually a good way to explain it. So I'll try to open it in a new tab. So this is just a blog from one of the, from the AWS Amazon, I mean the site, but usually the best image to explain about the certifications. So let me just see whether I can zoom this up, open image in the new tab, see whether you can be able to zoom these in. So you can confirm whether it is clear on your side. You can post it in the chat whether it's clear. Then I can take you through it a bit. Is it clear? Good. Thank you, Edel, Elmas, Abigail. Good. So I'll see whether, I don't know whether I'll be able to do this, but I think I'll use the annotation. I'll use the spotlight and see. I think it is coming through, though it has some bit of latency. 4 levels, if you can see. You have the foundational level, you have the associate level, and also we have the professional level, and then we also have the specialty. Although AWS doesn't really force onto you on how the path that you're supposed to take, or the certification you're supposed to take first before the other, but you realize that each level has different kinds of requirements, right? For example, you can see for the foundational level, you need to have at least some 6 months of in fundamental AWS cloud and industry knowledge. Although this is really not like meaning that you should have waited for 6 months before you take the cloud practitioner exam. You might be able to just ensure you go through some rigorous understanding of what is required in this certification, then you'll be able to do it. Then you also have the associate level, which requires a bit like 1 year of experience. And about experience is like comparable to this, comparable experience. What that means is you should be able to have an understanding of how to solve some problems. And talk about problems, you're talking about user problems, and also try to implement solutions. So Peter, I tried understand that you'd like to be taking, but it's important that you just let me do the annotation myself. Okay, so I think I'll clear your drawings and I'll go back to this. So I don't know whether the color can change. Okay. So it might not be that clear. Let me just use the spotlight that was there. I think that is much better. So, in the foundational, we have the cloud CCP, usually called Certified Cloud Practitioner. It usually just to give you the foundational knowledge, and it can be done by anyone, even those who are not in tech, or maybe who are not having, they just want to get some knowledge on how AWS and AWS services work. So it's usually not a really difficult certification exam. You can pass it easily with some good training and practice exams. Then you have the associate level certifications, which have the solutions architect. So usually have the architect path, we have the ops path, the developer, the operations path, and also we have the developer path. And all these can take you towards the DevOps engineer professional certification. So you can choose, maybe you want to do SysOps administrator associate or the developer associate certification. But the most common one that people usually take at the associate level is the solutions architect associate exam. Then we also have this SAP, usually call it SAP or maybe solutions architect professional in full. This one usually a bit trickier to go through. You cannot just go directly and start as this as your first certification. Also, then you get to the professional. And here we usually have two professional exams. We usually have the solutions architect professional and also the DevOps engineer professional. And usually these require, at least you should have been in the industry and been able to deploy some workloads and troubleshoot solutions and done something very fundamental and critical in terms of deploying some client workloads on the AWS cloud. So this is the professional level. Then also have the specialty. Specialty certifications are the one that helps you get some detailed kind of knowledge in a certain area. We have one in advanced networking, big data. We have security, specialty, machine learning. We even have SAP, the software. I think this one is no longer there. That is the Alexa skill builder. But the one that is actually currently there's an offer going on specialty training where you can take some of the training that is there and get 50% off doing the specialty exams. But again, it's important, even if before you get onto the specialty, at least try to get some training on cloud foundations and architecting. Then you can be able to do some of these training on areas that would want, for example, in big data, security, machine learning, or networking. So I think that is it with the certifications. I think, how many are they? 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think there are 13 of them, but I think some are not listed here. But remember that the end goal of your training is also that it's very important that you get certified, because it actually validates your skills. It validates the time that you've taken to take a training. Although you can get a badge when you're doing, once you're done doing your AWS Academy training, you can only get a certificate or a certification. Remember also with the AWS Academy, you can get a discount on your certification exam once you totally complete it. And then that is where I'll be able to take you more about the AWS Academy. So it's very important to learn about the certifications. Then maybe we can now get to understand. So I'll be able to launch the poll for the other poll, and just get to understand where we are with regards to our skill level, as well as maybe the interests or the courses of interest that you're in, as I also stop my share before I get to the other one. So you can answer. So I can see you can go on, you can be able to say whether you're new, whether you have some knowledge, whether you're an expert in AWS. So I'll be checking on the poll. The poll will run for at least a minute or two. Then I'll share the results as I also get to take you through what is there with regards to the overview. Okay. So I can see we can go on. Maybe I think I have like seven people who are left, or 6 who haven't answered. Maybe let's take part kindly. Then so that we can be able to have a good overview what is there. Detecting, gotten that. The other course. Okay, I'm trying to check on the polls. We have 5 of us left. Kindly let's take part, then I can share the results. Okay, I was just downloading some files that we're going to I'll be sharing about. So, okay. So I think I can run this already 3 minutes. So let me just do this. So let me share the results. So you can see a huge number of us are totally new to this, which is quite fine. No one was born with AWS knowledge or cloud knowledge. So there's always a starting point. I also had a starting point, and sometimes it's very important to ensure that you just take the first step, because a journey of 1,000 miles begins with that first step. Then also we have a number of us that have some basic knowledge. I don't know if that basic knowledge means that you're certified, or maybe you've done the AWS Academic Cloud Foundations course. but I'll get to know as we move on. I can see a number of us are really interested in the cloud foundations, so I'll take you through what it entails. And a couple of us are into cloud architecting. Then I can see there's one of us who is interested in machine learning foundations. But again, even if you're interested in machine learning, you should really choose that only if you've done the CF, that is the cloud foundations. You can just jump courses from just getting into machine learning just because you want to understand about machine learning, because machine learning in the cloud is not just machine learning where you just jump onto it and you can start on that course directly. You need to understand the basics, networking, like storage, database, compute, and all those basic concepts. So I think I can stop the sharing of the results of that poll. Then I can take you through the next phase of this session. But then you can always also be prepping your questions for which are going to be starting in like 10 or so minutes, where I'll be answering your questions. So let me take you through something here. Okay. Are you seeing this? Can you confirm that you can see that? Uh, the outline for cloud foundations. Good. So I'll just give you an overview of what the curriculum is and what it is really takes you through. Remember, this is confidential. So anyways, but it's important for your knowledge. So this is the version 2.0 of the Cloud Foundations course. And basically it's just for all learners who actually want to get an overall understanding of some of the cloud computing concepts. Some of them are just generic and they are not vendor specific. For example, they are not specific to AWS. Whether you go to any other vendor, you're still going to get the same concepts applying the same way. So then you're also going to have remember that it's going to be independent of any technical role, whether it's DevOps, whether it's SysOps, whether it's machine learning or database or whichever it is. Then the other thing that you can see in the description is that it will provide a detailed overview of what is there, some of the AWS core services. Apart from that, you're going to get to learn about security concepts, architecture concepts, pricing, as well as support. You should be able to achieve all these. I'll take you through something else so that I don't have to go through this here. Remember that when you're delivering it, when I deliver it through you, I'll be able to finish it in like 20 hours. 20 hours, if you look at it, how you'd like to deliver the course most of the time. For example, for Cloud Foundations, this is going to be the third cohort that I'm running. For cloud architecting, it will be the first cohort for it. So I've run the class like 2 times before. I did one in March, and I think I did another in, I think was it June or July there. So, and I think some of you are part of that class. Some of you have already gotten your cloud practitioner certification, which is good, because I think that time when you are running the second cohort, we had the Sub-Saharan Africa Get Certified Challenge where you're getting your certification voucher for 100% off. But I don't think you're going to get that this time because I don't think there's any current 100% off offer. But you can be sure of a 50% off the exam. But yeah, all that is once you decide to do the certification. So remember, it's an introductory level. It's a level 100, and it's just intended for AWS Academy member institutions. So that is the other thing. Don't worry about that if you're here, just remember that as part of my my academy is part of the member institutions. So you're going to be running this through if you're going to be part of my academy. So this is an entry level course, but just you should be able to have some basic IT technical knowledge, some bit of networking and some bit of business, because there's some element of cost and pricing, TCO, CapEx and OpEx. You're going to be able to see those things coming out in this. So remember that it can be delivered in person, but we are not going to be in person. We're currently virtual. Then also remember that you're going to be having a different way of doing it once I have the people who are going to be taking part. So that I'll explain for those who are going to be interested in, because today is an information session. I'm not going to go through the details of delivery of how you're going to run the class. So this is there. For example, for the educator, personally, I'm certified in CCP. I also have already done and finished the course. I've also gone through some educator training on how to deliver the courses. So remember that you're going to be having some lecture knowledge, some multiple choice knowledge checks in the platform. I'm going to show you how this looks like. There are also some hands-on labs within the course. Remember, this is going to be, you're going to also can get some digital training through Skill Builder or whichever. Then there are some videos on the platform, a lot of them, which you can go through and also understand more about the different concepts. And then there's also some solutions, some example solutions. So these timing shows you that you can complete the course in 1200 minutes. So this shows, sorry, this shows the lecture, the time the lecture videos can take, also the labs or the activities, as well as the knowledge check, and also the total classroom time. Remember, the platform can be able to monitor the amount of time you're taking in the course. So, and also whether you're logging in onto it. So these are some of the sections. I'll not go through them here. I'll go through them in a PowerPoint so that you can be able to understand. So that is for cloud foundations. For cloud architecting, for those who have already done cloud foundations, this one should be able to, this one is all about being able to architect how the infrastructure look like in an industry-based scenario. So you're moving on from just knowing the foundations to now getting to go further and just develop well-architected frameworks and architectures with regards to how an organization does really pull off their workloads onto the AWS cloud. So you should be able to know how to make some architectural decisions based on some of the architectural principles and best practices, one of them being the AWS well-architected framework. Again, you'll also realize that you should be able to know how to use AWS services to make infrastructure, again, scalable, reliable, as well as highly available. So those are some of the principles that are usually there, even within that well-architected framework. So you should not just deploy infrastructure, but you should be able to know how to deal with the issues of scalability, reliability, as well as high availability. Then you can be able to use some of the AWS managed services to enable some of the things such as greater flexibility, because some of the services will be managed for you rather than you manually having to sort them out. And then again, issues such as resiliency. How can you be able to head off attacks from hackers through uses of some of the services such as the AWS Web Application Firewall, the AWS Shield, and a number of other services that can help you even deal with some attacks such as the distributed denial of service attacks, usually known as DDoS. So the other thing that you realize here is you should be able to know how to as well as reduce cost, which is very important because anything on the cloud has this element of cost. So let me sort something out here. Okay, I think I've sorted that out. And I'll be able to sort another thing out. Good. I think that is what I wanted to just sort. I don't know whether you've noticed what I was trying to sort out, but it's fine. Good. So let's get on to this. So as I was telling you, within the cloud, sometimes cost can become astronomical if you don't deploy infrastructure in the right way. And this can overrun and even make an organization unable to run their solutions on the cloud. So you should be able to know how to use some of the AWS tools that are there, for example, the Cost Explorer, the budgets, just to ensure that you are doing some form of cost optimizations. Then, as I've already mentioned earlier, you should be able to know how to use the AWS well-architected framework to improve architectures that use AWS solutions. So you might be able to be presented with an architecture that is already deployed, and you're now optimizing it. Maybe in one aspect, for example, like scalability, or maybe you're also redesigning or re-architecting that deployment, maybe from a monolithic architecture to a microservices architecture. Whichever the case, you should be able to understand all these concepts when you're building the cloud architecting course. Again, you see this one takes a bit more. It takes like 10, 40 hours. You should be able to have already at least completed the cloud foundations and then have some working knowledge of what we call distributed systems, have some familiarity with general networking concepts. And then you should be able to run some multi-tier architectures. For example, you should have maybe a database tier, a storage tier, or maybe a compute tier. Some of the things, and also some of the familiarity, the cloud computing concepts, which you should have already gotten when you're doing your cloud foundations. So some of the delivery methods. So these are some of the requirements. And then, yeah, sure. So these are some of the things that should be able to, that the course is made up of, I think, around how many modules? Quite a number of them. 8, 9, 10, 11, around 15 modules, each of them having some different learning objectives that are here. So I think that is it, but I'll not focus so much on the cloud architecting, because I've seen a number of us, according to the polls, would require to have or are interested in pursuing the cloud foundations. Good. So let me just do a 2-minute brief, or if I can be able to do it in 2 minutes, on the cloud foundations. So the people who are actually going to be taking the cloud foundations, we're going to be having what we call a course introduction as well as an onboarding session. So I'll just give you a brief overview of how it would be. Remember that some of the things are already on the videos, so I'll not be taking you through the theoretical perspectives when we are going to be having the live sessions, but rather we are going to be doing the labs and maybe answering some of the questions or the lingering doubts that you had or what you didn't understand when you're doing when you're doing your personal learning on the platform. So I believe I already mentioned I'm an AWS community builder. I'm certified in cloud practitioner, also intending to finish up on my solutions architect, as well as my developer associate. My interest a lot is in development as well as cloud security. Also, I'm an AWS Academy instructor or educator. So, okay, let me just do it in a better way. So again, welcome. Again, congratulations for taking the opportunity, taking your time to be in this session, information session. Uh, you're well on your way on your cloud journey as well as your tech journey. Remember that even if you're going to be pursuing any perspective, whether you're going to into cybersecurity or whether you're going to get into networking, there's no way you're going to escape cloud. One way you'll find maybe a client who has already deployed their solutions in the cloud. So what you really need to do is just need to broaden your mind and have this open mindset where you're able to learn anything with regards to cloud so that you can easily work with those clients most of the time. Because even when you're working remotely, rarely will you be able to be required to go on premise or work on whatever is in an on-premise data center with regards to that. So again, congratulations, and I look forward to onboarding some of you who are actually going to do this. Again, remember that there's a community of AWS experts because AWS Academy is really keen on course completions. Don't try to do the course if you're not going to finish it. I would advise you just look for a time when you're going to be. There are a number of cohorts coming, so if you're really busy and you know that you're not going to be available maybe for 4 to 5 weeks, that is at least once a week, maybe most of the time we may be doing it on a Saturday morning, but we're going to agree with those who are going to be taking part. If you're not available for those live sessions, it's going to be very difficult for you. And also, if you don't have the self-discipline to complete the course modules as well as the knowledge checks within the platform, then it's going to bother badly for you. And also for those who have been there in previous cohorts, the records are usually there. So I can be able to know those who are maybe trying to come back and they have a history of non-completion, or they have a history where they start on things that they don't finish, which makes it very difficult for me to onboard them on another course, considering they have not completed, they did not complete the previous one. So you don't want to have that record lingering over you somewhere online that you started a certain course. These are not like Udemy courses where you can start them off and you cannot finish them. But this is one course that once you finish, you can be assured of a badge, you can be assured of knowledge and skills, and you can be ready for your certification exam, depending on the course, how the course was aligned onto which certification exam. So again, that is very important. And then, so these are how the course would usually be looking like. We're going to be having a module overview. We're going to look at some of the certification exam information. We're going to have an onboarding session for the registered members, and so on and so forth. So also we're having the module objectives, getting to know how the certification process works, the course structure. We're going to know which is very important, the documentation website. It has really saved a lot of uh, people's jobs, if I can say, with regards to what it is. I've already told you the purpose of the course. It is aligned to the cloud practitioner exam, as well as giving you a fundamental understanding, as well as the first step towards your cloud journey. So I think we already mentioned about some of the required knowledge as well as the preferred knowledge. Make sure you at least are familiar with these. And then these are some of the objectives of the whole course. Uh, but I'll focus here on the course outline. So it is made up of 10 modules. That is the Cloud Foundations course. It has the cloud concepts overview, uh, items such as cloud economics and billing, the global infrastructure. We're going to learn about the difference between regions, availability zones, things such as age locations, all those. How does the AWS global infrastructure really look like? Uh, Then you're also going to learn a bit about cloud security in module 4. Then you're going to look at some of the things such as network and content delivery. Going on to module 6, which is the most like I can say exciting parts of the course, is the compute as well as storage. Then you're going to look at database. You're going to learn about the fundamental concepts as well as the core services, the AWS core services within those sections. Then you're going to look at the cloud architecture just in a general format, and then finish up with auto scaling and monitoring, which is very important because monitoring and also having the ability to auto scale in or scale out your resources can be beneficial with regards to cost optimization and also delivering a better user experience with regards to your solutions running on the AWS cloud. So, uh, so these are some of the modules. So for example, for this first module, these are really cloud concepts, but I'm not going to go through the details. I say this is an information session, not a class session. So don't worry if you see me move the slides too fast. So these are some of the sections. These in sections in module 2, TCU, AWS organizations, billing and cost management. These are some of the things that are there in the module 3 I already mentioned. In terms of security, you're going to learn about IAM, the shared responsibility model, how you secure your AWS account, especially the root account, then how you secure your data, and also working to ensure some of these are compliant. So these are some of the things that you're going to see. Did I jump any? Yeah, network and content delivery. We're going to learn things such as the VPC, the Route 53, CloudFront. Uh, you're going to learn about then some of the network basics that are usually there. Things such as you should be able to know about the CIDR notations, such as private IP addresses, public IP, elastic IP addresses. You should be able to know some of these things by the time you finish that module. Then compute, as I already mentioned, EC2 usually elastic compute uh, service, and it was actually the first AWS service that was launched, and usually most of the time the heartbeat of cloud. And we have Lambda, and also we have Elastic Beanstalk. Just a bit of introduction on that. In terms of storage, there are a number. For example, there is the EBS, the Elastic Block Store, the simple storage service. Very important because by that you can be able to know how to can host a static website on AWS. Then the EFS, the simple storage service Glacier. All these you can be able to gain through that module. Databases, the ones that are usually there, RDS, DynamoDB, Redshift, and Aurora. So you're going to learn what all these core services really help and some of the subtle differences between them. Then in terms of the cloud architecture, the well-architected framework, things such as the reliability and availability, and one of the services that are there in AWS called the AWS Trusted Advisor, and how it can really help you in managing your cloud architecture. Then finally, you're going to be going through the last. So how you're going to be doing is you're going to have okay, let me finish up on this. You're going to learn about load balancing. There are different types of load balancers, the network load balancer, the application load balancer, the the other things such as CloudWatch, how it can really help in monitoring. Then also the EC2 auto scaling service, which can be able to know how to do it, the target group, how you can set up an Amazon machine image, a custom AMI, so that can help in invoking new services or new compute instances on AWS. So some of the certifications I already mentioned, these I thought it wasn't there in my slides, but here it is. So the course actually aligns with the foundational. You can see the CCP, the cloud practitioner. So details about the exam guide, some of the sample exam questions are all here, but all these links will be also can also be available in let's see whether I can be able to get it here so I can share with you, but it can also be available on yeah, sorry, I'll be able to share with them, with those who are actually going to be taking up the course. And it's still, they're all freely available. You can still get it if you type it. If you're going back to the recording, you can be able to see them. The easiest way you can just do this is just go to Google and search AWS certifications, and then you can be able to get to the exam guide. There are also other things called the ramp up guide. Very important, really helps you. So in terms of the documentation, AWS documentation usually found at docs.aws.amazon.com. Some of the things that are very important as you revise for your exam are the white papers, which helps you get to understand how things really work. And usually it's quite recommended doing a reading for your exam. So this is some of the some questions for those, usually some practical activities, some challenge questions, and what is there, and just jump that. Yep, and that is summary, being able to look at that, and then some of the resources that you're going to get. That is how it's going to work. Again, I think that is it with regards to me and the information session. I think I'm having how many minutes? Let me see. Let me stop my share so that I can get to your questions. Okay. So, sorry. I hope I haven't messed up anything. Okay, Marvin is asking how much does the exam cost, which is a very valid question. Let me start with that. You can also be posting your questions in the chat if you find that as a better option, so that I'll be able to answer that. So let me just take you through this. I don't know if I'm going to get it here. So most of the time, the certification exams are usually $100. But after you finish, I think you can be eligible for a 50% off through the AWS Academy. So AWS Cloud Practitioner certification. So if you can see, I already opened it somehow, somewhere, sometime. So you usually get that awesome badge, and you can see the price is here. It's usually 100 USD. The length is usually 90 minutes. You usually get 65 questions that are usually either multiple choice or multiple response. Usually can do it through an online proctored exam. It can usually be quite intimidating, but once you get the hang of it, it's very easy. So the last day for candidates to complete an exam appointment through PSI is the 31st of DEC 2022. And starting the 1st of January, all AWS certification exam will usually be delivered through Pearson VA. So it's very important to note this. And although personally I did my certification through PSI, I don't know how the experience is with Pearson VA. So yeah, it's very important. These are the links that are there in the slides. You can download the exam guide here. Just getting to know what it is. You can also get some of the sample questions. Yeah, so these are you can do, and this is very important, especially like the practice sets. If you have, like, for example, the white papers, they're all here. The trainings that are there, especially this power hour on-demand training, you can get it. You can get some digital training on skill builder. But again, in terms of training, you're also getting it through the AWS Academy. It's usually there are some subscription related kind of like Cloud Quest. These ones are I'll be able to talk more about them once we start the course. Yeah, so I think that is it. Any other question? Is there any question? Thank you, Philip. The session has been quite insightful, and trust me, I can just tell you, maybe if you'd like AWS solutions architect salary, just do that. Just get to you an understanding of how it works. So you can see in 2022, an AWS solutions architect, mostly in the US, can get at least 150,000. If you try to convert these to Kenya shillings, you can get, and you can see most of the time usually get at least around $70 per hour, which is quite. If you go to Glassdoor, which is a very reputable, it's quite a reputable site, you can see $119,000. So you can see these usually some very, in an annual year, if you try to convert, these are very good prices. And sometimes once you're in, you can work. For example, you already know right now, they're setting up, they've set up a new region, the UAE region. They're also trying to set, they've already set up some what we call AWS outpost in Kenya. And it's really growing, and it's a very nice thing to take. So just can just go on and check what is there, if that can really motivate you. But remember, for you to get here, you just need to take the first step and make sure you do it. You do it, like, make sure you take everything. So I can see somebody is asking, I'm into data science and machine learning, and I understand that for me to take my skill set to the next level, I need to be able to use the cloud. Which part of the roadmap should an ML enthusiast take in that regard? So that is a very good question. And if you look at what I shared, let me just show you here. So this is the part you can start with the CP, like get some foundational training, and then you can, for example, if you're going into data science, you can go into something like the CSOPs or the developer, or these, depending on whichever, if you're going to get into DevOps. And also you can just get into, maybe by doing an associate level, if you're good enough in cloud, and get into the machine learning as well as big data specialty kind of training. But then again, you cannot just jump onto machine learning in AWS directly without having an understanding, because without the basics, you're going to really struggle a lot. And most of the time, these certifications usually assume that you already have all the knowledge and experience before you. And each and every specialty exam has its own exam guide, which has its own requirements. So it's better to get the fundamentals well and top notch, and do a lot of practice on what you've learned through labs, hands-on labs, for example, on workshops.aws. Then you can be able to see what is there on offer. So I think that is how I can answer you. Unless there's any other question, I think my time is up. I'm already 3 minutes late. Sorry for taking your time, your 3 minutes. So unless there's anything else, I think I'll leave it at that. I see Victor is asking a question. I'm a cybersecurity aficionado and an enthusiast. What would you advise me based on AWS? You are on the same boat. So I forgot to show you how the platform looks like. So let me just show you a bit of it so that you get an understanding. For that may help people get to know. So just downloading files here. So let me just take you through. So for example, let me just go through my courses. I have a number of courses. So okay, let's go to courses. So you can see, if you look at some of the courses that I have on my calendar, on my offering, sorry, there's Cloud Security Foundations, you can see here. So you can start with Cloud Foundations, then get into Cloud Security Foundations. From Cloud Foundations, then you can get into Cloud Security Foundations, just to get an understanding of how it really works. For those ones who are saying to machine learning, there's machine learning foundations. I think so. Yes, it must be. Although I don't think I have the educator course for it here. Don't know. Then there's also the machine learning for natural language processing. Some of the courses that are really there. So how does the course really look like? So this is how the course really looks like. So when you open the course, you usually have some modules with you. Usually a discussion, but most of the time we're doing the discussions through maybe a WhatsApp group of sorts. So this is how the course content is. For example, if I open, let's say, you're going to go through a pre-course survey and a number of other things here. Well, if I open maybe, let's say, a student guide and be able to see what is there, you'll come to realize there's some rich videos here. So I think I'll finish with that. Then I'll also show you the what. Am I sharing my screen? I think I wasn't sharing my screen. Was I sharing my screen?
No.
And you aren't telling me. So can you see the screen now?
Yes, we can.
So I was sharing my screen and I didn't realize that I wasn't showing you whatever is here. So, so as I was saying, under courses, you can be able to take these academic cloud foundations. Then you can get onto a course called Cloud Security Foundations. So let me just show you how the platform really shows you. So for example, this is how you can, these are all the modules that are here. You can see, for example, if I get onto module 3, adding a storage layer, you can be able to see a guided lab on hosting a static website on AWS. So there's usually some labs, some guided labs, as well as also some a challenge lab, which is nice because this is version 2 of the course, which is quite interesting for you. So you'll be able to do the, okay, I can see that it is showing me on the other side. It's showing me the instructor side of things. We go to the student view. So the once you do the labs, they are usually marked by the system for you. Automatically, it just checks whether you did everything in the lab and gives you marks. Most of the time, usually on a 100-point scale, and you can be able to see these. Although I don't know why it's not loading on my end. Let me just refresh it. Yeah, so you can see you have to agree to some terms and conditions. Very important. You can decide also to read each and every one of them. But then again, you'll have to also agree onto them. Then this is how the practical platform would look like. So you can see once you're done with a lab, you'll submit and the system will mark it. So there's usually a guide on what you need to do, the restrictions, but these ones you're going to be doing with those who are going to take up the course. So these are some of the things that you're going to be doing within the live sessions. So there's usually some guided as well as some challenge labs most of the time. So there's even a terminal here for you for your work, and maybe some of the things we want to run on the AWS command line. There's some grades as well as the instructions. This is how you can be able to do the lab. So I'll not provision the lab right now because I don't want to do a lab right now. And then again, there are usually some videos where you can be able to do. So I think that is it with regards to the platform. So if you're really interested in it, in doing the course, so somebody is asking, William, what is the difference between cloud architect and cloud developer in AWS, and is it possible to do both? And also the one experience in associate level inclusive of 6 months in cloud foundations. Yeah, sure.
Kidogo. Kidogo, surely. Kidogo, please.
So kindly mute who is that, surely. Uh, so so yes, there's a bit of a difference because for the developer is really interested in coding out the solutions, uh, deploying their code on using AWS infrastructure, using things such as the CDK. But the architect is really into the infrastructure, is into how will the code work. So most of the time, the architect needs to understand how the developer thinks, and the developer needs to understand how the architect thinks. And sometimes in our case scenario, most of the time is the developer and the architect are usually maybe one and the same person. So the difference is most of the time, even in the certification exam, it is overlapping. They usually overlap each other with regards to the content. But remember that for the developer, it's all about deploying applications, coding out applications into the cloud. But the architect is into the architecture of the infrastructure. How does it work? How does the code can really scale? How can the code work well with the infrastructure that is in it? So I think that's the difference, some bit of the difference. And yeah, so I believe you've gotten an understanding of how it looks like. So if you're really interested in the course, I would advise that you maybe type your name in the chat. I'll be able to compare that with the registration details. And then I'll add you, and maybe you can see each other on Saturday. I'll give more details, usually Saturday morning or something. You're going to decide, but most probably it's going to be usually on Saturdays, maybe from 9 a.m. to around 11:30. Just some 2-3 hour session. We do the labs. We do the labs of at least 2 modules. So the structure will be 5 weeks, where we are going to be doing 2 modules per week. And what about 2 modules? I'm not going to go through the details. You should have already done it during the week. And then we are going to come and do the lab sessions as well as the challenge labs that are there, and just get to have an understanding of how you can do these things hands-on. So it's more economical when we do the practical labs live and when you do some of the theoretical learning on your own on the platform. So that's how it's going to work. So thank you, Marvin, Victor, Philip. So if you're interested, just type your name on the chat so that I'll be able to save the chat. I'll save the chat and I'll be able to compare that with the registration details that you put when you registered for this session. So I think that is that. So kindly make sure you just put your name if you're committed. You can be able to commit completing the course. Don't do it just then you say things have come up. Kindly look ahead for it's just 5 weeks, Saturdays. Then we look at how you can be able to do this. I'll also be committing my time. For example, for the second cohort, there was even a commitment fee, but for this one, I'm not doing one. I'm just feeling philanthropic with it. But the only thing I need is your support to finish the course. Like, make sure you finish the course, make sure you finish and get your badge, and also maybe finish. And also, if you can, kindly, I would strongly recommend that you take the certification, the CCP certification exam, and also document your journey, document your learnings, maybe on a blog or on a video, something of that sort. It really helps so that you can build a portfolio on what you've been able to do in the cloud, especially when you do the labs. Document your journey, and all is going to be well. So I think that is this. What about those who have completed? Yes, so if you've completed Cloud Foundations, I'm still going to be adding you to the Cloud Architecting course, and we can be able to run it. We'll still run with it. We'll be able to see how you can run the two and see which day is best, because I know I can't run the CF and the CA at the same class at the same time. So maybe the CA people would maybe need to wake up early on a Saturday. Maybe we do things from 7 a.m. to around 9. we'll be able to see how to do this. But I think as you get older in these things, you should be able to be ready to do some sacrifices. But we're going to decide on that. But most probably it's going to be the CA guys who are going to be waking up early to do that. So I think that is that. Again, I think I forgot, but I think most of you, if you're the ones who, if you are going to be doing the CA, that is the architecting, you should have already done the CF. So I think if you're there, it's just, if you're also there, William, whoever is doing CA, please also indicate you're going to be doing the CA, that is the cloud architecting. I believe all the ones who have typed are doing CF, that is the cloud foundations, because according to the poll, those are the majority. But if you're going to be doing the CA, you should be the one who is indicating your name, as well as you can add CA there, so that I can know that. So if you're going to be watching this on YouTube later on, you can also do it on the chat if the live chat is going to be still working. And if not, you can just reach out to me. Maybe through the comment, you can put a comment on the video, and I'll be able to maybe reach out to you, because I'll check on it later on. So if there's anyone else also on cloud architecting, also please feel free to share the video to the YouTube. So let me stop my share. So remember to share it, and also remember, if you're also going to be, maybe I'm not registered on if you subscribe on the channel, you're going to get a notification when a certain live video is about to come up, and I'll be able to be running them earlier. It's just that I had a technical itch today when I tried to run the session directly, but sure, I'll be able to be doing it in advance, and we see how it works. Remember, live sessions are all for the practical. Your theoretical and your knowledge checks are going to be done on the platform. So you need to be having the discipline of spending at least 5 to 6 hours a week on the platform by yourself, so that by the time we meet on Saturday, you're doing the labs, as well as maybe any other kind of clarifications on what you didn't understand when you're doing maybe your module. So for example, in first week, we're doing module 1 and 2. I think for the cloud architecting, you're going to be on a higher marathon, because your modules are more. They're not just 10, they're more than that. So you're going to do that. So what happens is, for those who have just typed your names, look out for a notification maybe later on today, or maybe tomorrow early in the morning. Then finish up that registration process. You're going to get the email from AWS Academy after I've onboarded you. And yes, and happy learning, happy cloud learning. And I can't wait for us to build this community, this AWS community, and maybe you can apply also your learning and help you make more and more money. Yeah, and also train others, something of that sort. So I think that was a nice session. I'm sorry I took a bit more time, but remember, for all the sessions, you're starting on time and ending on time. So please don't join the session like 10 minutes late or 20 minutes late and expect that you're going to extend the time. So remember that is one thing that we are really, 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 really serious about, time. So since today was an information session, it was very important that I give you as much information that I can, so that as you move on in your cloud journey, you can be the better version of yourself. So also, if you're interested in maybe doing a certification and you need a study buddy or something of that sort, you can reach out to the community. We have an AWS Kenya user group. If you're not part of it, reach out to me. I think I can also add my phone number there, and then maybe we can chat up and maybe see what we can do from there. I think there's also going to be a WhatsApp group for the cohort, for the third cohort, and also for the first cohort, third cohort of CF, the first cohort of CE. And then we see how it goes. So I think with that, I think we can call it a session. Thank you so much for staying through up until now. and see me when I see you. And once you get the notification, and you'll also get I think you're going to get a calendar invite. I'm going to see how I'm going to try to do it so that it's very easy for you to access the sessions. Remember, CA early enough. I don't know if they're going to be doing 7. Then CF from 9. Saturday. Early mornings much better so that you can do the other things the rest of the day. I think that is how we've been able to run the other cohorts, and it has worked well. Just 5 weeks. And you see how we move with the targets. So that said, I think we can call it a session. Thank you, Edel, Oliver, William, and all of you who have actually expressed your interest. Let me just save the chat right now. Okay. You can also save it on this other side. Okay. And I think with that, we can call it a session. Have a lovely rest of the week, and we'll continue to be in touch. Thank you. Have a nice time.